Greetings, YouTube. I am finally home and able to discuss the Act 6, Chapter 1 notes. I'm sure there have been several videos about this on YouTube already, but I wanted to throw my hat in the ring because after reading through this once, there's a huge point that, without dramatization or exaggeration, will change Marvel Contest of Champions forever, no going back. And you got to realize, I've been saying for the past couple months, especially since January, that these amazing deals that we're seeing when it comes to 4-star rank ups and the fact that they're buffing the 5-star drop rates of crystals means one thing and one thing only. 6 stars are going to become more commonplace in the game, and access to 6 stars is about to change. I wasn't sure how it was going to happen, but I was sure that it was going to happen because we have seen the writing on the wall for this previously when Kabam moved from 4 stars to 5 stars, and they changed the entire process of who was in the 5-star crystal, because for a long time, if you didn't get the champion in their 15,000 5-star shard featured crystal, they never came back. They weren't released into the basic. They were just gone forever. And then, of course, it became more over the course of over about a year. Every champion in the game at that point, other than the few 4 stars they deemed too OP as 5 stars, were released in the 5-star basic crystal. So, all of that's to say, Act 6, Chapter 1, these notes coming March 13th, right around the corner, in just a week. These notes are standard fare for so many things, including rewards for the most part, but the crystal change, the Cavalier Crystal, a team that sucks in the NBA without LeBron James, but is apparently going to be the title of game-changing power in Marvel Contest of Champions, is going to change the game as we know it, and I want to talk mostly in this video about that, but I would be doing a disservice to the community to talk about the other things. So, we're talking about Born Again, not Baptist Born Again, but just Born Again in general. Karina has awoken. For ages, she's been trapped in her crystal prison. But with the support of Aegon, the Collector finally has his daughter back. But she's not interested in standing still. Now, this was a theory. We covered every cryptic release. I guess it's kind of cool to see the banner as is. But yes, there's going to be a Legends title for this, and that's huge for one reason and one reason only, at least in my book, and that's the 10 Tier 5 Class Catalyst Fragment Crystals, which may only be 2% of a random Tier 5 Class Catalyst, but that's 2% more than anyone else has at this point in the contest. Keep in mind that there's only one item that you need to rank up a 6-star from rank 2 to rank 3 that has not been released until now, and that is Tier 5 Class Catalysts. And so the game is making it quite clear that it's going to take a long time to grind for these. Why? Because they want to make as much money off of them as possible. I guarantee you, the first time we see these as a cash offer, it's going to be the craziest joke. It's going to make $100 for 9,000 Tier 5 basic Catalyst fragments look like a steal compared to the price of admission they're going to charge the whales for just the Class Catalyst fragment opportunities, which you need 50 of them of the correct class to form one fully formed Tier 5 Class Catalyst. And I knew also, because you only need one fully formed, that they're going to be really, really rare and really, really expensive. This is how Kabam's going to make their money from now on Tier 5 Class Catalyst Fragment Crystals. So just be aware of that. And moving on down, you can see that once we get past the Legends information, in order to win the Act Legends reward, you'll need to place in the top times of each chapter, which is pretty significant because it's a chapter-per-chapter commitment. So good luck to everybody going for that. I am definitely not going to do that. Champion requirements. So this is the weirdest part of this post by far. So it says Act 6 is some of the most challenging content to date. Well, of course. So it's ironic because I keep saying it's not that 4 stars are irrelevant, because there are still really great 4 stars out there like Scarlet Witch and Wolverine, but because of their lack of attack and especially health, they're not going to be brought into even things like Alliance Quest or Alliance War because they just can't take a punch before they get knocked out. So for a champion requirement, which is normally specific kinds of champions like we're seeing in the Nick Fury event this month, or like you can't use your 5 stars, you can only use your 2 stars. But this is just straight up weird because the champion requirements will restrict the champions you use to only 5 and 6-star champions. Why would you want to use a 4-star champion in Act 6? I feel like you would be doing that yourself. You would be kicking out the 4 stars in your roster by yourself because you wouldn't want to bring them in because you don't want to use as many units as you have to revive them. So it's just a very strange requirement. I think if they hadn't put that champion requirement in it, almost no one would have brought 4 stars in attack anyway. So it's just a very, very strange, weird decision that I kind of chuckled at. Because that's the only champion requirement they're talking about. Can't bring 4 stars in. Oh no. Shucks. Now I can't beat the contest. All right, buffs. There are 7 new buffs. And I got to tell you, the no retreat one is shady BS. Milk the whales. Just there to get your units. Because when the attacker dashes back, they gain degen timer for 1.2 seconds. Dashing back again while the degen timer is active causes a passive degen, dealing 200% of the defender's attack as direct damage over 6 seconds. So the no retreat buff on someone like Juggernaut, who you can no longer parry, yeah, good luck with that. There are going to be some times that so many people rage quit just off of this no retreat, all caps BS. It says this buff is meant to impose the mentality of its title, do not retreat, while other similar buffs like caltrops can be easily countered with an immunity. No retreat requires careful planning and execution. Careful planning and execution is a fancy way of saying it requires a lot of units. No retreat was designed to be possible, but challenging to avoid. Again, plan to spend some units on that. Special delivery. What's FedEx going to sponsor, right? The attacker begins the fight with 15 combo charges. Each landed basic attack decreases the combo charge by 1, and launching a special attack will reset the charges. So this is something that kind of makes me think that somebody like a Gamora now, or a Star-Lord that doesn't need to use specials to do a ton of damage, will be very valuable against this new buff. Okay, so combo party. For every 10 hits of the combo meter, the attacker gains a permanent cruelty buff, granting plus 500 crit damage rating. When struck, the attacker loses all cruelty buffs if their combo meter is lost and takes 40% of the defender's attack as direct damage for each buff removed. So if you fight perfectly, you're going to be great. But my theory on combo party is it's supposed to screw over Aegon champs. People who just thought they'd bring in Aegon to clear Act 6, well, now they're going to be dying a lot if they get hit. So if you don't get hit and you're able to carry over your combo, you won't have to worry about it no matter what. But if you get hit, just consider yourself wrecked. Long-distance relationship. Apparently, we're wanting to cross the pond with this one. While close to the defender, the attacker gains a weakness debuff every 3 seconds, reducing their attack by 10% permanently. Now, that's huge. So this is trying to punish you for things like parry, because parry requires you to have a perfect block, so you have to stay close to the defender. So this is another thing that I think is total shady BS, which is going to require you to basically dash forward, get a couple hits in, and then go right back. It reminds me of Omega Red on steroids, especially because it's permanent. If you were to decrease attack for like 30 seconds by 10%, it'd be shady, but it would be fair. But the permanence of 10%, I mean, so you're telling me that if you do this 10 times for every 3 seconds, you're going to lose 100% attack? Is that how I'm reading that? It doesn't say there's a limit. Shady BS for the win. Close encounters. While close to the defender, the attacker regenerates 1% of their max health every second. Again, this is trying to discourage you from just parrying and winning, which I think is kind of shady. Sort of the inverse, the long-distance relationship. Close encounters encourages you to stay as close to the defender as possible and being efficient as you bait specials or get out of the way of abilities. So, okay, I'll say this. If the regen works great, it's awesome. But the attack degenerates 3% of their max health every second from being far away. If you're gaining 1%, but you're losing 3%, that's where the shadiness comes in, because you're just going to get wrecked very, very quick. Thank God for somebody like Blade, who has a fantastic regen if you get in that situation. But sometimes you just got to retreat, you know? There's no other way to put it. Very interesting that they have those opposite end nodes. At least you can parry in that one. and not be punished. Power struggle. The attacker cannot gain power during the fight through normal means. Each time the defender reaches a full bar of power, the attacker is granted 1 as well, and whenever the defender launches a special attack, the attacker loses an equal amount of power. So you're kind of dependent. It's a very codependent note. You're dependent on the power of your opponent. And then Hurt Locker, using the same type of special attack twice in a row, gives the attacker a delayed blast. All right, PI ranges. So again, why would you bring 4 stars in when you're fighting enemies that are 22,000 to 28,000, or by the end of it on Quest 6, 28,000 to 39,000, and a 72,000 PI? I'm not even going to bring my 4-star rank 5 Scarlet Witch. All right, energy, just like always, it's 3 energy per node, 600 energy for Quest Mastery. Okay, the rewards, this is where, I don't know, I'm kind of disappointed, to be honest, because of the Tier 5 Class Catalyst situation. So we've seen this before. 30 5-star 6-star stone crystals. I think those should be generic stones. It's weird that we got 20 generic stones for something like the Captain Marvel Clash, but not Act 6. But the completion, you're going to get 9,000 Tier 5 basic fragments, and then you're going to get 1/5 of a 6-star and 1/2 of a 5-star. Even a rank up gem. We've seen better rank up items in variant difficulty. And so I just want us to scroll all the way down, because the main point of the title of this video, and really where I want to complete all of this, is the Cavalier Crystal. This thing is the most shocked I have ever been. I predicted that you would have a chance based off of what I thought was the uncontested title from what Otriix data mined, but apparently it's the Cavalier title. But I thought you would have a chance for a 6-star, but because it's so hard right now in the game to form a 6-star, we're talking it could take you like a third or even a half of a year to get a 6-star crystal. For some of you, you still don't have a single 6-star. You've been playing the game for years. Because of that, I thought that a 1% drop rate for a 6-star at most would be 800 to even 1,000 units. If they were really, really generous, they would be 500 units apiece. But the Cavalier Crystal guarantees a 38% chance for a 4-star champion, so over 1/3 of the crystals will have 4 stars, even though you can't bring them to Act 6 or whatever. An 11% chance at a 5-star, and a rare 1% chance of a 6-star, which means Crystal Opening Whale is going to have every single 6-star maxed and awakened. These crystals will be available for 200 units each. You're telling me that they're going to be cheaper than Grandmaster featured crystals and have a chance for a 6-star champion? That is unbelievable. Why would you not just wail out on units? They're going to make so much money off of this Cavalier Crystal. I can't even imagine, because of that 1% drop rate in a 6-star. I am stunned. These are more than twice as cheap as I thought the floor would be for this. I thought 500 units if we're lucky, but probably closer to 800 or even 1,000, because we have not seen anything close to getting 6-star shards for less than a 2 or 3 to 1 ratio. So in other words, if you want 1,000 6-star shards, that might cost you 3,000 units. And even the 2,500 6-star shards we've seen for $99.99 of cash is still $100 for 1/4 of a 6-star crystal. Now you're telling me for 200 units, you have a 1% shot at a fully formed 6-star in the crystal? It's just mind-blowing. It's absolutely game-changing. Also, Cavaliers, 25-unit discount on Grandmasters. Why would you ever go for those again when you can buy these 200-unit crystals? So just ignore that. Upgraded daily crystal. Now, this is pretty dang cool. Rare chance at Tier 5 basic fragments. Thank you. 5-star shards or 6-star shards, and double the amount of Tier 2 alpha fragments, Tier 4 class catalyst fragments, and Tier 4 basic fragments. Slightly upgraded free 4-hour crystal with more gold. And this is the next step after being uncollected, and we plan to continue to add more as the story progresses. So you got to become a Cavalier. Pretend like you're LeBron James getting drafted in the Cleveland Cavaliers and go for it. This Cavalier Crystal changes everything. I cannot emphasize it enough. The entire community should be looking at this thing and thinking, holy cow, for 200 units, I could get a 6-star? Why would I buy anything else? They're going to make an insane amount of money. I guess for profits, it's smart for them. But the power balance is going to be way worse than it's ever been because of this. There's just no way that the people at the top aren't going to be getting every 6-star available. The difference is they're not going to be able to rank 3 them anytime soon because Tier 5 class Catalyst crystals are so freaking rare. I do want to warn you too. As more people get access to the 6-star champs, through these Cavalier Crystals, the metric of the infinite streak of the arena, especially the 5-star featured and 4-star featured, will go up. But particularly the 5-star featured, which has the usage of 6 stars, because every time the people at the top get higher PI and higher in general overall rating, you're having to rank up your champs to not lose your infinite streak. And so that is just another prediction. It's exactly what happened when 6 stars were first introduced into the contest, and we've seen a progression. You used to be able to take PI of champs that was about 3,000 overall. Now you can't even feel close in some matchups with a PI of 4,000 before you trigger that infinite streak. And once someone has a rank 3 6-star, everything is going to jump up, and you're just going to have to keep breaking up champs if you want to fight in the arena, unfortunately, and keep that streak alive. So, yes, a lot to cover. My goal was less than 20 minutes. We're at less than 16 now. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video. For those of you who watched this, thanks for watching. The Cavalier Crystal. What are your thoughts on it? It has blown my mind tonight. Completely changed the face of the game. 200 units for a chance at a 6-star. Call me shocked. I feel like I'm dreaming. I kind of want to wake up, but then again, maybe it's a good thing. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.